has been personally victimized by a boy. Yep, me too.
I'm here to tell you on how you can deal with boys. They're the worst. How do you get rid of them? How do you tell them off? We're gonna get into that right now. There are honestly only 4 things that you need to know when it comes to dealing with boys. So, the first thing that I want to talk to you about is to ignore their rude behaviors, whether it's online or in person. It is going to be really, really important that you do not give boys any kind of attention. Let's say a guy says something rude to you online. Don't respond. Seriously, that is boy behavior. Boys are going to be rude. They're going to be mean. Now, there are some boys that can be nice only to trick you in the end, but in the end, is it really even nice behavior? No, because tricking people isn't nice behavior. They're always going to be mean, even if they're discreet and subtle about their mean behaviors. Let's say this is in person and someone approaches you from behind and you don't want to talk to that person. Don't give them any kind of attention, or you don't react to it. There's a very good chance that they're gonna wanna see a reaction from you, and you gotta do your best to not give them any kind of reaction because they're just trying to get a rise out of you and for them to be entertained by it. That is boy behavior. I have a quick story about this. So I met makeup shaming Marco not too long ago. I was at a bar with my friend and I got a tap on my shoulder. And I turned around, I saw some short man that I didn't really recognize, and I said to him, "Do I know you?" And he looks at me, holding back laughter, saying, "Yes." And I said, "Okay, how do I know you?" And he goes, "I'm the guy with the cringe dating advice." I said nothing after that. I just looked at him. He holds his hand out like this, being like, "Nice to meet you." I didn't want to shake his hand. I just tried to be civil, even though I wanted to do one out of 2 things, which was either A, punch him in the face, or B, throw my drink on him, but I decided not to do that, so I just shook his hand, said nothing, because it wasn't nice to meet him. I didn't even say that. And I turned around. But joke's on him because my hand was covered in germs and snot because I was dealing with a really bad cold that night. In 2019, we are leaving him and his toxic masculinity behind because I'm so done talking about this. Anyway, that's one way you deal with a boy. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel as I post new videos every Monday about being single, navigating the dating road. Let's go on to the second thing. If you're not sure if you're dealing with a boy or not, here is the second thing you need to know about dealing with one. It is really important that you identify their behaviors and the language that boys use. Boys will say, "I'm not looking for anything right now, I don't want a relationship," when really that means they don't want a relationship with you. They will say anything to try to get you in bed with them. They will not text you back when you're looking for a response, only for them to come out of nowhere 3 to 4 weeks later. That is when you ignore and you don't give attention. You're just trying to look for sex. Boys will do so many things and say so many things. Here are some other examples of what boys do. One example is you confront a guy about something and you call him out on him being mean or whatever. He's gonna be quick to call you defensive or crazy or high maintenance. That is boy behavior because he is just trying to put the blame on you and he refuses to take accountability for his poor behavior. Another common thing that boys do is that they'll ask you to hang out with them, but then they don't actually follow up with it, or they never initiate plans and they make you in charge of putting in all the effort. If he's not putting any effort into you, he's probably a boy. Another boy behavior is when you ask him to hang out and he gives you some long drawn out excuse and doesn't make the time to want to make up those plans. He's probably a boy, and that's his way of saying, "Please don't ever ask me to hang out with you again." If he's still swiping on dating apps, especially right in front of you, he's also probably a boy. You get it? These are signs like you need to look out for. Let's move on to the third thing. Okay, ladies, listen up. The third one is really important, and that is to stop giving him sex. Seriously, if you know how you feel about sex, fact is it makes you feel attached or it's really special to you or whatever, or if you're just simply not like me who has a completely different attitude about sex, then I would say stop having sex with him, because having sex with a boy is not going to change his mind at all. Seriously, when a guy tells you he doesn't want a relationship, he probably means it. So don't try using sex as a way to get him to change his mind, because that's not gonna work. Also, I want you to respect yourself, because this guy doesn't respect you when he's not mindful of your time and your feelings. And when you keep giving him sex, he's probably going to think that you are on the same page as him when you're totally not. Unless if you are on the same page as him, then you know what, do you. But if you really want a man to commit and you know your worth, then the best thing is to not give him sex, because he doesn't deserve it from you at all. That is what boys do. I really hope you know this by now, but if you don't, now you know. And then the fourth and final thing that you need to know about dealing with boys is to kick that motherfucker out of your life and never talk to him again. If he is texting you 4 weeks later after you've never heard back from him, do not reply back. Do not give him the time of the day, because this is your way of saying, hey, like, what you did was unacceptable. I don't have time for people like that in my life. Sorry. It is really important that you do not cave into that. One situation that I've had is where I went on a date with a guy and it was not good. And I never heard from him after that date. And a few weeks later, I remember the day before the 4th of July, he texted me at 9 at night saying, hey Ilana, I was wondering if you wanted to come over and hang out with me. It was a Tuesday. I was in bed. Like, I was getting ready to go to bed, or I was just winding down from the night. So I said, sorry, I'm in bed for the night. And that was it. And he goes, okay, makes sense. Because that's my way of saying, no, I'm not interested in a booty call. Yes, I did reply back to him, but I wanted to let him know, like, hey, I wasn't interested. I just don't have time for that. If a guy did that to me now, I would probably just ignore the text if I knew that it was someone that I didn't want to see again. But at that time, which was a couple of years ago, I just wanted to be kind and be upfront. That is literally what it is. Ladies, just remember to know your worth and to never let men control you or your feelings and how you want to live your life. If you have to make all the plans and take all of the control when it's not equal, then you are literally dealing with a boy and you need to get out. And I really hope that some of these tips have helped you do so. Ladies, just remember, I care so much about you and I don't want to see you get hurt by mean men who don't respect you or your time. Those are my tips on how you can deal with boys. If you liked this video and you thought that it was helpful, make sure you give it a thumbs up. So I will see you in my next video. Bye.